All right, this morning we're going to talk about and educate you on the asset class of offices. You're going to buy an office, everything you should know from A to Z. Stay tuned. What do you know?
Quite a bit, but I thought we'd go to the master first, hey? Offices,
Yeah.
Commercial property, investment. A lot to unpack, isn't it?
Yes, very exciting.
It is, definitely. Only a growing space, I feel, with the current market, the way it's heading, interest rates easing, although slowly. It'll really start to unlock some of these investments for people out there looking for something a little bit different to your residential market.
I would suggest it's the lowest entry price asset class in the market. It's actually cheaper than storage.
You're exactly right. Exactly right. It's a great entry level market, and it's really becoming a space where those that take it, mold it the way they want it, that's what they're unlocking the true potential. And you'll find that with that small investment, we're talking up front in terms of a deposit, as opposed to, like you said, house or warehouses.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic opportunity investment for people.
So, guys, you're probably thinking how much, first of all. So we're on the northern beaches of Sydney, and you will get a house starting from probably 1.8 million. You'll probably get a storage unit starting from about 200,000, 220,000 for like per square meter. I'll explain that in a sec. You've really got all different types of asset classes, but offices you'll get for as much as 150, 200 grand, and they're actually bigger, almost double the size, a bit bigger, 50% bigger than a storage unit. And people have that money. They have that money to buy, and they're a little bit. They're like, oh, I don't know if I should use my super to buy that, or I don't know if I should, use my money to buy that. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it really is. And I find that it's a segment in the market where office spaces generally, a lot of the time, those spaces can be broken up into micro offices as well, which is another thing I think we should unpack.
You can't really do that with residential.
No, you can't, can you?
You sort of get a bit busted, but with commercial, you can go chop to chop, chop, chop to chop, chop, chop.
And you find with, everyone's expectations of yields and what's a good yield, I find the fastest way to get there now in terms of office spaces would probably be breaking it up, because we do or have seen a trend of your traditionally bigger offices that businesses are in have come right down as they lower their overheads and realize obviously a large space of work is done online. So there's not as much as a need for a big physical space. And I think just with how times are, reducing those big overheads as well is a bit of peace of mind for some business owners.
Can't sleep in an office, but what can you use an office for?
I've even had a funny one. For example, yesterday we've got a big building down 685, beautifully renovated office spaces down there. I even had a lady yesterday inquiring in regards to glass burning. So she's an artist, and essentially she teaches classes on how do you stain glass, how do you shape glass. So I mean, guys, I've put beauticians, artists, your general online businesses, e-commerce. So it doesn't just stay to an online. There's a lot of physical jobs and opportunities that are open to these spaces as well, which is exciting.
So I guess another angle as well is you can work in some offices. You can work in our area in 24 hours. Exactly. So you can have overnight offices.
Yes.
So, security guards that are monitoring 24/7 and stuff like that, so the office can operate, around the clock. You can, rock in and out. Technically you can't habitat there, which is through council, which is sleeping, which is a bed. Very lettable. Are they hard to rent?
No, they're not. I don't find they're hard to rent at all. I think a big thing with anyone stepping into the commercial market, you've got the right agent that you're dealing with. A lot of the time, what we find is from that exchange process, we start putting the feelers out to the database in regards to tenants or potential tenants that have inquired on previous properties. So I think the idea of really having an agent that's going to do the groundwork before you've even settled on the property is probably a really big thing, and has definitely helped with a lot of purchases that I've dealt with in just settling the nerves, so to speak, for someone jumping into, say, a commercial property for the first time, finding tenants, who do I manage it? I think that's a big thing, and that's probably something that I've been involved in quite a bit recently. So quite important, quite interesting.
Should we pull apart one of our favourite one in DY Parade?
Yeah.
Do you want to bring that up?
Yeah. So guys, we've got a 99 square metre straight on Pittwater. You guys know in the main drag of DY how much traffic that gets through, how many eyes come along on that property, or along the property on Pittwater. So yeah, we've got a great team physio down on DY Parade, Pittwater. They've got a big space there with multiple treatment rooms, reception, really well spaced out. So I think that's one that I would have thought there'd be a lot more interest and inquiry on, just because these spaces are perfect in order to get those yields. Those traditional,
pretty cool space. Look at that. I think I've shared that on the screen successfully. Have I? Should everyone see that?
Yeah. Beautiful.
I think you have.
Yeah.
I think you have. It's good space.
Yeah, it really is really good space. For that price tag, $599 guide, you're getting almost. You
can't get a studio apartment in DY for that.
Well, yeah, your apartments are 60 meters squared, 50 internally these days. It's sort of priced over 700 original. So something that's renovated, 99 squares, good fit out, already existing.
99 squares. If you were to buy a storage room that size, it'd be 20
times 5, it'd be close to $1 million, like you said.
Yeah,
over $1 million.
Right. So it's almost half the price of storage.
And you don't go and have to find 5 tenants. You've just got the one. And something like this, ready to go, ready for someone to move in.
It's the lowest price asset class in real estate.
And yeah, generally,
offices.
It's also the square meter rate there for a ground floor facing the main road. You're getting cheaper square meter rate than some I've seen in DY that are up on either the DY Grand, which is a couple of levels up. So having that street frontage, I think, is very valuable, and something that I as an investor would price in into the value of the property as well. So another thing as well, physios, chiros, they're probably your A grade. Any medical, they're your A grade tenants, guys, because generally they roll up to a lease. They're not there for a year plus a 1 year option. They're generally there for 3x3, 5x5, and obviously you work your way up the ladder 10x10 for your general practices. So also something else that's very important for commercial. Yes, you get a better return in terms of a yield. This one here, I'd expect on a minimum you'd receive at least $750, $800 per week.
What percentage returns that?
Well, if you're working off a sale price of $650 and you've got a tenant paying $750 per week, you're straight bang on the money at 6%.
What are you borrowing money at, you reckon, on that, on for an asset, that as an asset class?
So like an interest rate?
Yeah.
You're probably around anywhere between 6.4, 6.9.
How much deposit do the banks want, you reckon?
Well, generally 20%, but I'd get out to your brokers, guys. We also have a few contacts. There's talks of a couple of new little deals that the banks are putting together for commercial properties specifically.
Yep.
And that entails a traditional 90% deposit that you'd see on residential, and also quite competitive rates too.
If you're not good with maths, use ChatGPT to do the modelling for you. I've been doing it lately.
Yeah.
So for instance, if you see something you want to buy, tell ChatGPT an income, as in your income. Tell ChatGPT the interest rate. Tell ChatGPT how if you're going to put 10% deposit in or 20% deposit in. Tell ChatGPT the strata, water council, and the rent.
Yeah. And
then ask it to model what the repayments will be over a year or two.
It works, guys.
It's a freak of how it goes boom, 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 boom. Should owners be worried about vacancy with an office space like this?
I mean, it's probably one of the things I would consider. Like, I mean, you're always going to have a trade-off: higher yields, higher income. There's always a trade-off. But I think if you've got a management with an office that has a lot of stock, similar stock, deals with a lot of inquiry, there's always a lot of people out there looking for these spaces. Then again, I think it's just taking what the market's giving you and creating that space to accommodate that inquiry. And I think you'd find you fill these things up fairly quickly.
Should people be scared if they're buying the office asset class over any other asset class? What should the things they should be watching out for?
Crazy. Could you bring that up, Mark? Not sure if anyone's seen, but I've seen an article about 2 or 3 weeks ago that was actually speaking about the limited supply of offices throughout the Northern Beaches. So I think something to look at there is, general economic market and, the health of business and,
it's relying on commerce.
Definitely relying on commerce. But I think it probably even more so when you break those micro spaces down, probably fits the bill even more because it sort of fits the mentality of the crowd at the moment. And that's where you want to position your property, because competition, more people wanting to rent the space, increases your rental on the property, and then in turn your yield, and then in turn the value, because that's also quite a big way of valuing your commercial properties is off the basis of your leases. So I think that is a really important aspect. Point of the picture, really.
So guys, that's the asset class. That is talking about office spaces, everything in office spaces. You can always just call us. You can always just write a comment here asking us questions about offices. We're always happy to help people out there. I reckon it's it is the most inexpensive asset class in the area. Cheaper than storage, cheaper than residential, cheaper than industrial. It's the cheapest, and it actually performs very well with capital growth and with renting it out. Thanks for joining us today. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's pretty much covered it. But I just think, in terms of yields these guys' days, the traditional 6-7% that we used to see a lot of the time, it's not as frequent out there in the market.
Sorry, that was my right finger. Go.
Your traditional 6-7% aren't as frequent anymore, guys. But I'll tell you, the last couple of deals I've been working on with these small office spaces, or like the one down in Pittwater Road, one in Forestville, they're achieving these traditional yields 6-7%. So definitely look out for them. There's money to be made.
Boom. Thanks, Legend.
Thank you.